Welcome back. All right, so we are finally there, like 6 weeks later, but this is the video to finish the quilt. And oh, I see one of my clips is off here. There we go. Okay. All right, so now, if you remember in the last video, the last thing I had done was folding over the binding and then ironing it so it was folded over in half and putting the raw edges together. So since then, what I've done is I have attached like where all of the raw edges are together, and I started clipping them all the way around the quilt. I don't want to pick up the whole entire thing because it's large now. Nice lap size quilt. Like I said, all I've done is I've attached to the front of the quilt. Okay. And then I left this little bit of a gap here. When I'm done sewing all the way around, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam. And I go all the way around the quilt. And I think what I'll do is when I get to a corner, I will stop and show you how I go around the corners and turn it. So it's just a little extra step in there, so it's not hard at all. I thought it was going to be hard, but when I first started doing it, I thought, wow, this is not bad. And then at the very end, when we get all the way around, then I'm going to get to this portion, and I'm going to show you how I close it up so that there is no extra bulk here, and it will just lay flat. And that will finish it off. And then that will attach it to the front. Then we will wrap it around to the back, and that will give you a nice clean edge on the front. And then on the back, I will hand stitch the rest of it onto the back. It just seems to be a little cleaner that way. The machine stitching, if I did the machine stitching, it would show the stitching on the front and the back, and I felt like, well, maybe it would look a little cleaner to me if it's only sewn on the front with the machine and then hand done in the back. And then I will show you how I hand stitch it. Okay, so I think I got everything lined up here now. And all right, so I got my thread in, bobbin, and we got it all lined up. I think it's just a little bit more than 1/4, just a touch, just to give it a slightly wider strip on the binding. And then after, it will be folded around to the back. Okay, so right now this is the loose tail that I had from before. And then there's the gap that's like, I don't know, maybe, wow, this is only a couple of inches. I probably will make that a little bit wider, just so I have the room to finish the binding off. Okay, so we're just going to sew a straight. Let's see, hopefully I can angle this so it's hopefully you can see. I've got things propped up here, and try to get all the extra weight off the quilt and put it up on the table so it will just go right along, hopefully. All right. And I am, and I don't think you necessarily have to do this, but I am going to back stitch a little bit at the front. I think I just try to get into the habit of doing that on sewing like this, just so that it keeps it from you know, pulling when I try to finish the binding off. So, all right. So sewing, oops. Oh, there we go. Okay. Back stitch. And I usually go somewhat slow, because I know when I try to go fast, it just doesn't come out the best. So I am trying to maintain a slower speed. So obviously I will not be filming this entire way around, because it's for you guys watching this, it's going to take forever. So so I'll just do, you know, like a 30-second, or until I get to the next clip, and then turn it back on when I get to the corner. Okay. All right, moving on to the corner, not the quarter. Oh my God. Okay, so I've gone down that side, and I've come, yeah, a couple inches away from the corner. So how this works, okay, we go until probably about the same distance from the edge. See, I did a little bit more than a 1/4 inch. Let's see, I'm trying to see the markings. Not quite 3/8, it looks like. Just short of 3/8. You know, about however distance it is from the needle to the edge, the rough edge here. Stop at the corner, and then sew off the corner. So I'll show you that here in a second. Okay, maybe one more. Okay. All right, so that is roughly about the same distance. So if you're doing a 1/4 inch, you'd stop about a 1/4 inch from there, and then turn it just a little bit, sort of pull it off to the side a little bit. And that didn't go as well as I had hoped, but it did turn. I think what I should have done was I should have lifted the foot. I haven't done a binding in a while, so, but essentially what you're supposed to do is have it come off and sew right off the corner, and then take it off. Okay, and let's see if I can still do this, because I didn't quite get. Okay, so it did go to a diagonal. It just didn't go to the corner like I wanted it to. So let's see. And then you fold up like so. All right, and I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a clip on, just so it holds its place until I can get the entire quilt all positioned. So obviously I'm not going to leave the clip like that. It's just long enough for me to reposition. Okay, so now I have repositioned. So I'm going to line everything up again and try to get to the same seam allowance that I had before. So put that up here, down, lining up, and let's see, just continuing on. Okay, I'm going to continue on, get the rest of the corners done, and then I will come back and show you what it looks like at that point. Okay, all right, so now I've gotten around all the sides, and I still have this big long tail. Obviously, we don't need that big long tail. All right, so this is how I learned it. Oh, let me grab a ruler. This will work. Okay. All right. So I cut my strips at a width of 3 inches. I think the standard is like 2.5. But I like it a little bit thicker so I can put a slightly wider binding around. So however wide the binding is how much you overlap the two ends. So in my case, it's 3 inches. And I'm hoping you can see this. Alrighty. Let's see. 1, 2. Okay. Alright, so I'm trying to do this so I can. Alright. Alright, so from the end of the binding underneath, because we're going to cut the top one to 3 inches, is right here, which is slightly off camera. Okay. Alright, so the end of the binding on the bottom, and where we're going to cut up here. So that is 3 inches, which I have to kind of eyeball it, and hopefully hopefully this works. Otherwise I'll really have to figure out how to make it work. All right. Okay, so this I have already attached. Now, I did not show sewing it because, well, frankly, I'm going to be honest. I always have a hard time remembering how to hold or how to fold these the proper way. Now, in the end, I have finally figured it out. But I did, at one time, I did have to unstitch, pick the stitches out and redo it because I always seem to do it the wrong way the first time. And then I have to sit here and look at it and stare at it and wrap my head around it before I figure it out. All right, so I think what I'm going to do in this video is just mainly so that I can remember in the future is when you're holding these, you make sure and you put it in the plus sign. Let me just hold it up so it looks, this is the way it looks when you're sewing it. So now to remember, and this is actually a note to myself, the fold line, if the fold line is going down on the top piece as you're holding it and the fold line goes up, so the two fold lines together, and then you put it in the plus sign, okay, and then you hold them together so there's just a little bit sticking out from each side, okay, and then sewing it corner to corner from this corner to that corner. So hopefully this will keep myself straight, and I'll just have to keep referencing my own video. But that will help me determine that I have it right in the future. And then I laid it down here so it does, everything looks right. And always check that before clipping. Because I think one time, the very first time I tried it, of course I did it wrong. And I thought, oh, I did this right. And I clipped it. And it was terrible. Because I had to figure out how to fix that. Or just make it work. Luckily, it was sort of on a test quilt that I was making for myself, and it wasn't anything I was giving to somebody. And that's why all this extra strings and that are here, and just looks terrible. But I'm going to clean all that up and get that all tucked away so that you don't see that. All right, so everything laying flat. So I'm going to fill in the sew down here, and then I'm going to flip it over. So when I get to that stage, I will be back. All right, so we have now filled in the last 6 inches or so. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip bring out my mitered corners, which I'll do right here. I see a little string sticking out here, so I'm going to clip that. And it comes out very nice doing it like this. Okay, can push the corner out a bit like that, and then fold in here like so. All right, so, and that's all I'm going to do is I'm going to clip all the way around, and then I will show you how I hand stitch on the back. Okay. Okay, so I've got almost the entire quilt clipped. I ran out of clips, so I know I have more, just don't know where they are. Anyways, so this is how I hand stitch the back. You can see the front looks pretty good. I think there's a little bit of a variation in the thickness of the binding, because I noticed I was starting to go a little thicker, a little thinner every now and again, but I think it's going to look pretty good. So this stitch, the trick to this is basically to make it look like it's not even there. So it looks as nice and clean on the front as it does on the back. Wait, I said that backwards. Okay, so what I do is I go in, so in here, and I think I gotta get a thinner needle, but this isn't too bad. All right, because I flip that up a little bit and kind of tuck the tail in. Sometimes I gotta trim it, and now it's just barely sticking out here, but I go in a little, just a touch, and not so it's going all the way through in. But when I come back out, it's coming out the fold, that inner fold of the binding. So now when I pulled it all together, all you see is that one little string that is coming out of the binding, and then go back in right where it came out, but down into the other piece, and again coming out the fold. So now the only thing that you even have a chance at seeing is that one little tack stitch right here. And if you use the same color thread as you do the binding, you won't even notice it. And I keep doing that all the way around. So in on the bottom and out through the fold. Okay, see, and it doesn't even look like it's there, but it is holding. See, if I put that there, you can't really separate them, just the little bit between there. And I'll do a couple more, and then I will probably take this and the thread and my needle upstairs and then put it in front of the couch so I can work on it when I'm watching TV or something. So here, Okay. So then everything, see, is nice and attached. And that's where, just before I started. So I guess that's it on this one. Let's see, let me just tuck this in here. And I'm going to hang this up one more time so you can see it before it is completely bound. I'll be right back. All right, so here it is. It's all clipped for binding. And that's pretty much how it's going to look. So this is going to finish this video for the binding. And you probably have one more video when it is all said and done. And that will finally conclude this series that I've done, this year-long series on the Farmall quilt. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I know some of my videos are a little long tail, but I really did enjoy doing this, and it took a lot of planning. This wasn't a pattern that I pulled out of a book. It was a panel I had gotten. Kind of had somebody in mind that would enjoy this, and I was trying to, a lot of my decision process was put into things that would apply to him, the colors, the panel itself, just everything. It just took a while to sort of completely think the process out. So I think my next quilt might be something I'm going to do a preset pattern, and probably the longest thing that'll take me there is just determining the colors that I'll need to use for it. But I did enjoy this one, and like I said, there will be one more video after I finish the binding. Okay, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.